entertaining podcasts I listen to. I don't listen to many. That one, Francine, is a different point of view. It's a female point of view, but someone who's been through the hardcore wars.
Yes.
So what Francine has to say to me matters and is important. And there are two guys up in New York, Monte and the Pharaoh.
Mm-hmm.
I find them hugely entertaining. I find them fun to listen to. But those three are the only three podcasts really other than, the PW Insider stuff that I listen to at all.
The Monte and the Pharaoh Show is brought to you by...
Because wine is your second favorite four-letter word. California wine, New York attitude. Good fucking wine. All right, welcome back to Long Island's #1 pro wrestling broadcast, Monte the Pharaoh, seen only here since our studio is still under renovations. Monte's Man Cave and Wahoo Saloon. Dr. Tom Prichard in the house. Finally got this guy on the show. Thanks for joining us, brother.
Well, thanks for having me, man. I've been waiting for a long time, so thanks.
Well, it's truly an honor. Before we get into this whole thing, Jimmy met Wahoo McDaniel's ex-wife on the show. Can you hear me?
Okay, I'm trying to. It's bad. Yeah.
Let me try to speak a little louder. Maybe that'll help. Jimmy met Wahoo McDaniel's ex-wife or widowed wife on the show, and they ended up hooking up. And Jimmy went down to Florida, and they got married. You remember? Did you ever work with Wahoo at all? Did you know Wahoo?
I knew Wahoo, but I never had the chance to get in the ring with him. No, it was when I first started. Wahoo was still around San Antonio, but I was leaving and traveling around then. But I didn't really know Wahoo that well.
So let me ask you, the Prichard family, right? Your brother Bruce, yourself. Let's get this out of the way. Where do you guys rank as far as wrestling families? Where do you rank the Prichard family as the influence on the industry?
I don't know. I don't know where I rank. But Bruce probably ranks right up there with those guys. I don't know, man. That's a hard thing to say. There's a lot of great families in wrestling today. I mean, and I wouldn't have a clue. I wouldn't even hazard a guess.
How is your relationship with your brother, if you don't mind me asking?
No, it's good. Good. Just got off the phone with him today, as a matter of fact. And he's doing good. They're busy as hell up there, but no, everything's good.
Was it at any point difficult for the two of you as far as the relationship? Because after all, Bruce does ascend. Obviously, he's definitely super tight with Vince. Was that difficult at all for you when that was happening?
I think any kind of dynamic like that, when one brother has a position like Bruce has, it's very difficult on him, especially because he doesn't want to have to constitute nepotism or doing things as favors. You know what I mean? And that could probably take its toll on any family. But no, we've always had a pretty good relationship, and there have been times we haven't talked because we're both busy and just in different parts of the world. So, but right now the relationship's great.
Sorry, Jimmy. How does one brother become the office and the other one remains either an agent or a wrestling guy? Did you never want to get in the office? I'm assuming you're from the same lineage. You would have that same intelligence. From all I hear about you, you're this incredible talent, both in the ring, obviously, and outside the ring with your wrestling intelligence. How come you never got into the office?
Well, I was in the office after I stopped wrestling for WWE for a while, but it's just no, it wasn't my thing, and I've never considered myself an office guy. And I know that's looking back on the times that I should have realized that's where I needed to be and turn my energy to. Um, I should have done that, but I wasn't made for the office. Uh, I couldn't. I probably could, but it just wasn't my deal back then. And I'd rather much, we were talking earlier off the air about money's not everything. Happiness means a lot. So, but I was in the office for a while.
Did Bruce try to encourage you to get more involved in the office, or did Bruce just, Bruce was ascending and Bruce was dealing with Bruce?
No, Bruce was dealing with Bruce, and we never wanted to bring that into the mix. Uh, because it could cause problems, and we didn't want to do that. So we never really talked about it like that. But and I understood his position. I mean, how could you not?
Right.
So, I mean, I got it, I understood it. But when I was offered the gig to train people, that's when I had an office at the office, and I learned a different side of the business, and it wasn't necessarily one that I didn't like, but it's not one I wanted to fully grasp because being in the office means you've got a lot more responsibility, and I didn't really care for that right at that time.
So we all know what's gone on with Vincent Kennedy McMahon in regards to the allegations, and again, I think my partner mentioned how close your brother is. On the documentary on Netflix, your brother shares the fact when his wife becomes ill, Vince was there for him and got him the best doctors to help his wife and everything else. With your experience with Vincent Kennedy McMahon, how was your experience? What do you know about the man? And does your brother's love for him influence you in a certain way? And let me preference this with the fact that me and Jimmy are very big fans of Vincent McMahon.
Right. Well, when I first met Vince, when I would come up there and see Bruce sometimes, he was always cordial, always nice. Then when I started training guys and he was training to work with Austin, I got to know him a lot better. And I saw a different side of Vince. Saw that side of Vince where he can relate to you, even though you know damn well he's nowhere near, uh, or you're nowhere near relating to what he lives and how he lives and what he does. But he made you feel very like he understood, and he was always easy to talk to, and I've got a great relationship with him. Nothing like Bruce, and nothing like a lot of other people, but I thought we had a great relationship. So uh, that's my take on Vince.
Did you ever see anything like, some of the things that we read on the internet about Vince are really, really out there, and it has to make you wonder. Did you ever witness Vince ever crossing a line backstage? Maybe not illegally, but morally shady, like maybe I really shouldn't have seen that kind of moment. Was there any indication that the recent allegations would be?
No,
Is there any
I've never seen.
substance or?
I never seen anything like that personally. I mean, I've seen him mad. I've seen him upset, irritated, um, but never anything that crossed the line. People can say whatever they want, and I think we all have to judge how we were around that person and what we do know. Personally, I've never seen anything that would make me shake my head and wonder what the hell's going on in the office or at the show. So, I mean, no, there was nothing that I could really point to.
Tom, so many
Yep.
guys in your era passed away from drugs in the locker room, so on. How has that affected you personally, in your personal life in regards to that?
Well, it was a different business back then. It was a different lifestyle. It was a different everything, different time and place. I think it comes with everything. When football had the steroids and Lyle Alzado and people felt the after effects, and you see the dark side of the 90s, dark side of football, dark side of the ring, and things like that. Uh, I think you couldn't be in that era and not walk away affected somehow. And I lost good friends. Uh, not always the drugs, but I mean, just the lifestyle. And I don't know, it wasn't so bad when you're on the road 6, 7 nights a week and you're living your dream, uh, doing what you always wanted to do, and now you're caught up in this 7 night a week deal, and it's like living in fantasy land. So, I mean, has it affected my personal life somewhat? You know, I've been married twice, but I look at that as a good thing. So,
Yeah. I mean, do you get caught up in your own stuff? Here you are, this famous wrestler, all these, fans, women, men, they idolize you. Do you, for lack of a better term, do you end up like eating your own, believing your own shit, and then all of a sudden to yourself become almost like godlike in your mind?
yeah, I don't know. I'm sure that has to be the case. If you're going to be a top guy, you got to believe that you are the shit. You are the man. Um, so I think that's part of living the fantasy life, and getting caught up in your own shit and believing it. Tommy Rich, I just saw the picture of Tommy. You know, what a talent, what a guy that was on top with cable TV, and just never was a body guy, but he just had that charisma, that fire, that uh, undeniable appeal to women's, kids, men alike. You know, but everybody back then, most I won't say everybody, but most people back then were running pretty hard and heavy, and I'm sure I'm sure, along with myself, there's others who would say, "Yeah, man, it took its toll, but in the end, would you do it all over again?" I'd say, "Hell yeah."
You were
Hell yeah, I
very
do it too.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. You were close with Chris Candido. Like you said, it's not always just drugs or whatever that contributes to a tragic demise. It's a tough question, but how much did Sonny's behavior contribute, in your opinion, to Chris's downfall? We've heard the horror shows about how she's having sex with Shawn Michaels, and he's well aware of it. I try to compute this, and I think about this guy because I did really like Chris Candido, the wrestler, and he was really good at what he did. And meanwhile, later on as we do this show, we discover stuff like this with Sonny. How much did that contribute to his downfall? Because talk about living the gimmick and being trapped in it. Sonny to this day is now paying the price for that. Any thoughts on how much he might have contributed to Chris'
yeah.
demise?
You know, it's really funny because I was just thinking about her today. Thinking about what a nice day it was, and she's not able to enjoy it. She's behind bars. Um, and then I started feeling sorry for her, and I realized she was pretty mean back then. But she was young too, and she was thrust in the spotlight, and she was around a lot of guys. She was a narcissist, and I don't know whose fault that is, except I know she wasn't a very nice person back then. Um, I think it had a lot to do with the way Chris handled his business and the way Chris was treated by the other people, by the way she treated him in public. And yeah, it was a mess back then with her. So I hope, I really do mean this because I hate to see anybody really that bad off, but I hope she gets her shit together And I know she ain't going to be out of jail in a long time, but I hope she gets her shit together in jail.
Tom, a little bit of a hard question off of Jimmy's question, though. Morally, when you look back, because you were involved with Candido, do you feel like you could have done more with that situation? We've had Scott Hall on before he passed, and Scott said, "Hey, look, not my circus, not my monkeys," right? So, did you feel like morally, like when you look back at it all, could I have done something different? Should I have done something different?
I did. The time she was flirting with Sean and everybody on the rental car bus back from the airport, we got to the hotel, and first thing I did was I went to their room and told her she can't talk to the guys like that in front of Chris. She can't do this shit in front of Chris. It makes everybody look bad. And she went off on me and said, "What about me? What about me? God damn it!" And that was it. So she didn't want to hear it, and I don't think Chris wanted to hear it, but I did try. I told her because she made everybody look bad.
Do you buy into Shawn Michaels' born again stance nowadays? I mean, Shawn is obviously changed, as he says. Dude, it's a tough question, but I mean, what do you think about Shawn the born again Christian when we hear the horror stories and the careers he sank and the people he ruined backstage back in the day? Is this legit with him, or is that really for the maker to judge in the end anyway?
Well, I think everybody has an opportunity to change and be able to change. Um, I know I'm not the same or feel the same now as I did when I was in my 20s, 30s, or even 40s. Um, so I can't be the one to say has Sean really changed his ways. I think he just has to prove it every day he gets up and goes to work or does what he does. But who knows? I like to think he's for real, but only he knows for sure.
So let me ask you, when you were working back at that time, right? We talked about your love for pro wrestling and, how much it meant to you. When you saw some of this stuff, again, we're only fans, so we really only know what we read, but was it difficult for you to work in that type of environment with guys trying to hold people down and embarrass people and do these type of things?
Well, I'll tell you what. And this is on me because I was never a person who's got close to people and things like that. So I just wanted to show up and do my job and do what we had to do. So I never got involved in the politics and all the stuff that went with it. I knew when we came in as the heavenly bodies, I could tell. I mean, didn't take a brain surgeon to tell what they were going to do with us once they took Cornette away from us and gave him to Yokozuna to be the American spokesperson. Once that happened, I knew what was on the horizon, and all we could do is we could bitch about it, but nothing was going to happen because of that. So I pretty much stayed to myself. I had a couple friends, and I think, uh, yeah, that was Kevin Kelly and a couple other people there who I might have rode with once or twice. But for the most part, I stayed out of the politics and stuff like that.
I'm gonna make a hard left here because I really want to cover this. So a friend of mine, Mitch, I won't say his last name, Jimmy, but he sent me a video of you against the Cheetah Kid, right? Because he was bragging on what a great wrestler you were, and we knew how great you were, but he felt this video really showed how great you were as a wrestler as well as the Cheetah Kid. Um, can you talk about Ted Petty at all as a person and as a wrestler who was the Cheetah Kid at that time?
Yeah, I thought Ted was a great worker and great guy. Um, I didn't know him that well, but I knew him when he came in as a Public Enemy again with Johnny Grunge. You know, he had pivoted, but I always thought he was a great worker. Um, I'd only been around him a few times, so I didn't get to know him that well. But he's a great guy every time I talk to him.
Was he a real tough guy though? From what I understood, like when we talk about wrestlers, not everybody's a tough guy, right? It's not that sport of a tough guy, right? So, but was Ted Petty the real deal?
That I couldn't speak from experience. I couldn't tell you if he was or wasn't. I mean, when I worked with him, he was a total pro, so I didn't have to worry about him being a tough guy. But yeah, I never had any experience with him to see him be a tough guy.
Doc, to go back real quick to Chris Candido, I mean, not just the worker, but the guy behind the curtain. What would you say to him if you had a chance to say something to him? If you had the chance somehow to say something to Chris, what would you say to him if you had that one last chance before he left us?
Get happy. I mean, get happy. And that's what I'd tell him. Get happy in your life, because I don't know if Tammy was wearing him down or not, but I know from experience that you can't get worn down, and then life becomes a miserable existence. So if I had one thing to tell him, and I talked to him 2 days before he died. I talked to him Monday as he was going in to get X-rays at the hospital in Florida. Then he flew in Wednesday. I think he passed away on a Thursday night. So he was going to call me back after he got out of the doctor, and he didn't. So I was just going to catch up with him at the end of the week, but that didn't happen either.
Wow.
All right, we're going to make another sharp left-hand turn and talk about some of the untouchables nowadays on the internet. Chris Benoit, his wrestling will always be praised. His in-ring wrestling will always be praised. Do you feel that he should be even mentioned in conversations anymore, considering what happened that fateful night? What's your take on Chris Benoit, please?
Yeah, Chris was one of the best workers in the business. But what is the right thing to do? Do we just forget it? Do we just forget him and not even mention it? Um, does that really negate everything he's done? I don't think so. I think there's a great match at a Brian Pillman Memorial: Steve Regal versus Chris Benoit, and it's a great training match because all they did was they went in there and felt it and listened to the crowd. Do you throw that moment away? Is it? I don't know. I mean, I'm a little conflicted.
What were your emotions when you heard about the event? What was running through your mind?
Couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. Every time I'd been around Chris, I'd never seen Chris pissed off, but I wasn't in his close circle either because friends of his have. But every time I'd been around Chris, he'd always been calm, cool, collected. And it was shocking. It was bone chilling. Couldn't believe that I knew Nancy before I knew Chris. So I was just, it was bone chilling.
Tom, why do you feel, or why do you think, especially with the IWC, the Internet Wrestling Community, a person like Chris Benoit will be defended, but a person like Hulk Hogan is now vilified, someone who actually changed the industry for yourself and so many others? Even today, if it's not for Hulk Hogan, our belief is wrestling isn't even what it is. Why is that?
Well, if you've noticed today, it seems like, every cop is a criminal and all the sinners saints. Everything is so mixed up, and everybody has this strong opinion, and sometimes it just changes with the wind. What's good today will be bad tomorrow, and bad tomorrow will be great today or the next day. So I really couldn't tell you why. I think obviously what Chris Benoit did is a heinous thing, and I hope he's rotting in hell for that right now. But at the same time, Hulk Hogan, you're right, has changed the business and has done all these things, and he's not perfect. So I don't know anybody who is, and I don't know what the internet community why they feel they're the end all be all.
Doc, if you could write, if you were given the opportunity to write, and God forbid, but it happens to all of us at some point. If you were given the opportunity to write the obituary for Hulk Hogan, Terry Bollea, what would you say about him?
Greatest of all time. You got to say it, man. I mean, he for that era, and you're still going to remember Hulk Hogan for any era. It rolls off your tongue. It sounds great, but as up to now, he's got to be on everybody's top 5 list. He's got to. You got Flair, you got Hogan. Then who? So I mean, you got to say greatest, if not certainly one of the greatest of all time. But that kind of brings it back down a little bit. So I say the greatest of all time.
Tom, are you still doing your podcast with John Paz?
Not right now. I'm taking a break.
So let me ask you this question, if you don't mind. How does it feel, especially someone yourself is old school, that people like Jimmy and myself and other people have infiltrated something that you've loved and you grew up with, just regular Joes? Does that bother you?
Does what bother me?
That regular people like myself or Jimmy or, John Paz, that back in the day would have no right to be in the industry, which you guys have built. Does it bother you that regular people have a voice now in pro wrestling?
No, not at all. I've heard how Tyrus got a gig with Greg Gutfield. Apparently, he answered a Twitter or responded to a Twitter or something like that. Now he's a Fox News contributor. He was nobody to Fox News, but I mean, he got an opportunity because he had talent. And I think there's a lot of people out there, just as you want to say, regular Joes. I think we're all regular Joes when it comes to being out there, because anybody can do a podcast. Anybody can, can do a show and put it on YouTube. So, and some of it's good, some of it's not so good, but I think it's great.
Does it piss you off when guys like me and Jimmy use wrestling terminology like green or anything like that because we weren't in the industry?
No, it doesn't piss me off. Should I be pissed off?
Well, I don't know. Some wrestlers are, I guess.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
I don't know how it hurt their feelings. It doesn't hurt my feelings.
Well, it definitely hurts Bubba Ray Dudley's feelings. Yeah, Mike, I said it. Whatever.
Uh-oh.
Oh, what are you gonna do? Let's make another left-hand turn here. Who was the most untrustworthy? And you built your legend going through the states, going through the territories. Who was the most untrustworthy promoter you ever had the misfortune of dealing with?
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
When I first met him, I thought he was a cool guy, and then I got to know him, and I realized he was just a slick liar, and he was losing his territory. But that was Mike LaBelle in California. He just. I got my first tour to Japan because I was in LA, and he took $500 a week out of my pay for him. I went for 6 weeks. So it was supposed to be $1,500 a week, but I got 1,000, and Mike LaBelle got the 500 extra.
So it started with
Tom, how do you decide to become a professional wrestler? How do you break it to your parents, this is what you want to do?
Well, this was all I wanted to do. Since I can remember being 4 years old, watched wrestling with my brothers every Saturday afternoon, and I just remember being so intrigued. I was watching the Funks in their early days, Ricky Romero, Johnny Valentine, Wahoo, God, Jose Lothario, Superstar Graham. I mean, I saw all these guys, and they were just larger than life, and I wanted to be a wrestler. And I told them that, and they thought I was going to. It was a phase I was going through, and I'd get through it. But stayed this way my whole life. I worked in the wrestling office when I was 15, up until the time I started wrestling at age 20. So I've had a pretty good life, man. I really have. I've had great opportunities, a lot of great opportunities.
Did you ever early on? Because before we got on the air, I told you the stories of how I used to watch on UHF your matches in California on a Spanish New Jersey television station on UHF. At the time, I remember you were not as big as a lot of those guys. How much did you ever second guess yourself early on and say, "What the heck have I gotten myself into physically?"
No, no, I really didn't, because I was like willing to take whatever they were going to give me. I was ready to pay dues, and I did. My first year, that was back when that was in 1980, and nobody got cauliflower ears back then. But Ron Starr and Johnny Mantel uh, decided, like one week, they were going to grab me in a headlock and bend my left ear down and uh, give me a cauliflower ear. And they kept lancing it in the shower with a razor blade until finally it just stayed that way. So I mean, I was ready to pay dues. I was going to take it and give it back whenever I could.
I love it. Just this Saturday, Bill Goldberg's retirement match happened against Gunther, and it was pretty good. But the point of the matter is, Bill Goldberg goes on Ariel Helwani's, I think his name is, podcast, and complains about how the WWE treated him. What are your thoughts about that? Getting that send off and then being angry about it.
I think, yeah, Bill needs to reconsider some things here. They got Cena's tour going on. They gave him an opportunity. I think he was upset because they only had 3 promos, and he was upset because they cut off the promo at the end of the night. So, but at the same time, WWE didn't have to do anything. They would have been just fine without a Goldberg retirement. So I don't think Bill has a whole lot to yell about. He got a pretty nice payoff. He got back on national TV for one night, and I think he should thank his lucky stars.
I couldn't agree more, Tom. I couldn't agree more.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
What's that?
I said that's fair enough. Give me a current big name wrestler that you see that you say to yourself never should have made it, or perhaps politics carried them through. Is there anybody on the big stars nowadays that you think to yourself, now this guy shouldn't be this big? Anybody?
I'm sure if I thought about it, I'd probably think so, but I can't think of anybody right offhand right now. I think Cody Rhodes, when he came back, I was a little iffy, wasn't sure how that was going to be received, but man, Cody's done a great job, and I mean, he's really carried the story out. But as far as somebody I don't know. If I think about it, I'll tell you.
Tom, you're training some of the young and upcoming stars now. What is the difference between today's wrestler and the wrestler of your time?
Well, there's more action in the match. You have to be able to tell a story, know when to register, know when to sell, and know how to keep moving in a match where people don't lose the attention span. That's what I see. A lot of guys don't understand psychology from a simple point of view, because they think what they see on TV is what they're going to do in the house shows, and that's not the case. I think today's wrestlers are more worried about high spots, and they should, because that's what the people want. At the same time, the basics and fundamentals never go out of style. And I come across people all the time who don't know how to lock up properly, who don't know how to grab a headlock, who don't know how to grab an arm, or do the simplest things you need to do. So back in when I first started, you had to know the basics and fundamentals because it was a slower pace. It was a slower time. So these days, you got to be able to keep up with the entertainment intellect because people are educated to the cool stuff and they want to see the cool stuff. You can turn on anything on you want on your TV, Netflix, whatever, and see all this cool stuff. So you want to make sure that your wrestling kind of falls in line too.
So Jimmy and I always talk about we were old school WWE guys, and we used to go to the Madison Square Garden where Don Morocco would face Bob Backlund, and Jimmy and I speak about so often if those matches took place in today's era, they would get booed out of the arena. Why do you think today's sports fan and wrestling fans have no patience to watch a match build up and roll out?
There's so much to do. You have your tablets, your video games. You got anything at your fingertips, anything you want. And why should you slow it down? I've watched some matches, man. Oh gosh, I've watched some matches from the '70s, and watching it today, I'm wondering. I can tell you why I was interested back then is because it was intriguing, and while there was kayfabe and it had been exposed so many times prior to the '60s, it still had this intrigue for me. And I think now that society's got to where it is, you got anything you want, instant gratification. And professional wrestling is a great sport. It's great entertainment, but that you have to understand that it has to change with the times like every other sport. Baseball wants more home runs, so they make the baseballs to where you're gonna and the bats. The same people make the baseballs and the bats. They want home runs. They want it to be an exciting sport. They've changed the time limit on baseball and things like that. So the Savannah Bananas, you've seen those guys, right?
Absolutely, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I mean, baseball's looking for little outlets like that too. These are guys who enjoy playing baseball, but they're having fun doing it. So I think the question was, what was the question?
The question was that why do you think that old school wrestling would be booed out of the arenas in today? Or let me make it even a different question. Do you feel that it's a shame that wrestlers like Ivan Koloff or Don Morocco or even I don't know, go Lou Diaz, Vern Gagne, that they're forgotten by today's wrestling fan?
They're fading.
Yeah, I just think today's wrestling fans wants faster action and glitz and glamour, and they don't care if it's a hammerlock or a headlock or a wrist lock from a wristwatch. They just want to see somebody who looks like a star and give some pizzazz out. I mean, that's what I think. People are just
Doc, I got to ask you, WWE recently has reduced their house shows and could potentially be eliminating house shows. Do you think that the in-ring work will get poorer as time goes on? Because after all, house shows are reps. They are athletes. This is reps. If they eliminate house shows, they'll be doing their craft less and less for more and more money. Will the in-ring product be affected?
I think so. I think, but I think it's going to be affected without anybody really noticing. And the ones who do notice they're not going to have a voice to care because they're playing for the next generation coming up. And all they know is what they're looking at is cool and fun. It looks like a video game. And, they don't care enough about the history of it. Well, some people do, but they don't care enough about the history of it because the history of it to them is dull and boring. Bruno match, Bruno versus Kowalski, or Bruno versus Stasiak, or Bruno versus Superstar. They don't understand that element of it. They don't understand that it was a different time where people had it was presented differently. It was presented not as much as a shoot, but it was presented more legitimate. Let me say it like that. Even though the stuff they were doing in the ring was so hokey sometimes, that's why I'm looking back on the 70s. I'm looking at this stuff going, oh my God, how did anybody buy this? So, you have to keep up with the times, and if they want bodies, people want bodies. They don't want to look at the Gorilla Monsoons anymore and out of shape guys.
The out of shape guy who grabbed Muhammad Ali, tossed him on his shoulders, and spun him around a bunch of times.
Yes, I agree 100%.
Yeah,
I agree 100%. I think the cool thing that they're doing at the PC is they are teaching the history of the business to these guys.
Can you elaborate on that more? I never heard that before. They're actually teaching him history of wrestling.
Yes, they actually do teach the history of the business at the PC. Yes. So they have all the matches. In fact, I know for a fact a couple of years ago that they watched the Pillman or the Regal Benoit match, learning about the psychology and the pace of that match. So yeah,
Doc, if they're teaching history, I have to ask you, what is your thoughts on when they backdoor into the Hall of Fame legends in the business like a Bruiser Brody or a Wahoo McDaniel? The families aren't even invited to these, by the way, when they're inducted into the Hall of Fame. What's your take on that?
Yeah, I think they could do a better job. At least invite the families. At least do something for them like that. I would like to see that being done a little bit better.
Here's a forgotten guy, Tom, and I believe you worked with him. You worked with Adrian Street, correct?
Worked with who?
Adrian Street, Exotic Adrian Street. Did you work
Adrian
with him?
Street? Yes.
Can you tell what was he like as a wrestler? Even being Adrian Street, even being a smaller guy of legend, he was super strong.
Well, Adrian was one of those guys who didn't need to know how to wrestle to get his gimmick over, but he was a great amateur wrestler, and he had the gimmick, and just looked like gay as hell back then when being gay was people would boo that. Now he'd be a huge baby face. He was a huge baby face in Alabama, but when you'd get in the ring with him, he'd tie you up and he'd do these crazy shoot holes to you and wrap you up and tie you up like in a bow. And it made no sense with his gimmick. So I loved Adrian, but the matches were pretty much the shits because he'd tie you up and there's nothing you could do about it.
Mike, I just realized All-American Red and Yellow Hulk Hogan versus Exotic Adrian Street today. Hogan is the bad guy. What is going on here?
Right.
Wow.
Dr. Tom dropping some knowledge, man. Look at that.
There you go.
Tom, what do you think of the whole thing about Hulk Hogan and his health issues that Bubba the Love Sponge is constantly ranting about? Are we making such a big deal out of it? The guy is in his 70s and things do go wrong. Do you think this is even necessary at this point?
I really don't. I think everybody has issues and medical issues that they'd like to keep private, and even if they're not, I mean, there's no reason to spread them over the airwaves and talk about somebody else's business. I don't believe in that at all.
Speaking of classic malcontent, obviously he deserves all the respect in the world for what he gave to the business in the ring. Is Bret Hart ever going to drop the bitterness? I mean, now he's killing Goldberg again because Goldberg was upset with his. I get it that Goldberg shouldn't be upset and count his blessings, but is Bret Hart ever going to forgive the world for anything?
Probably not.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, Bret. Sometimes I think there's some people who want to hold on to a grudge, and they felt wronged So they're entitled to feel that way. So if that's what they want to do, great. I'd rather move on.
Tom, did your brother wanted to be a wrestler also, correct?
Yes.
So I want you to evaluate your brother's wrestling skills. Where would you rank him in the top 100 wrestlers in the world?
Let's see.
Uh-oh.
Well, we'll go 100.
No, on
I mean,
actuality, was he any good at any point, or was he just the shits? I don't know. I'm
no,
just
no,
asking.
no, no. He wanted to wrestle, man, but he had bad knees. He played football in high school too, and he had bad
Okay.
knees, so he couldn't get out there, and he knew he couldn't perform like he wanted to perform.
Who was the better
So yeah,
athlete, you or your
but
brother?
he did come down to the ring and get in the ring with us a couple times. It wasn't that bad.
Who was better though, you or your brother? Who's the better athlete, you or your brother?
Well, me.
There you go. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, there you
Yes,
go.
sir. Mike, am I allowed to ask him about John Tolos?
Go ahead.
Yeah,
Can I
not
ask you about,
Tolis.
listen, I got a disclaimer, like I said, in the early days watching you on UHF, and John Tolos was like the center of that California telecast there. Any thoughts on John Tolos?
Yeah, I knocked John Tolis's bridge out of his mouth. I drop kicked him in the mouth one night. Oh, he got so pissed at me. Yeah, yeah,
Wait a minute. So what does he say to you when you knock his? First of all, did he find his teeth, or like
yeah. No, no, he
some
knocked
fan
it out and
grab
they
him?
found it on the mat and they got it. And he came back and said, "God damn it! I told you don't drop kick me."
It's
Yeah,
Jimmy. It's almost like when they wouldn't pull on Bruno's wig, like that was against the
Right,
rules,
don't
right?
rub
right.
on
Bruno.
Superman's cape. Right,
Yeah, those
right.
guys had some rules, man. Yeah, so
Tom, I got to ask you this though: when you knocked the teeth out of his mouth, does he just pick it up and put the dirty teeth back in, or does he at least bring it
no, he
back
put him in
forth?
his tights.
Oh,
Yeah,
Oh, he didn't use it as a foreign object?
no, no, didn't want to use
Wow.
his tubers.
oh my
Oh boy.
god! Oh my god! Oh, you're making me laugh, Tom. Tom, so let me ask you this: women's wrestling nowadays, are you impressed by women's wrestling? Do you enjoy it? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think the women's wrestling has done a very, very, very good job. I mean, I don't get a chance to watch Raw or SmackDown because I'm training here at SCW or SCW, JPWA. But yeah, from what I've seen, the women are doing great. I love Rhea Ripley. I think she's great.
Again, now you're training these youngsters and building them into the future stars. Is it hard to train them? Are they receptive? I will just tell you, in my work world, it's very difficult working with today's generation and getting them motivated. Is it the same way in pro wrestling?
I think it's the same way everywhere. Um, I've got two people I'm training right now, and they come in the sweat box 5 days a week, and they get after it, and we leave a big sweat mark in the middle of the ring. Other people I've had where they can't wait to get out the door and back home. So I mean, yeah, I think it's like that everywhere you go.
Tom, I want to ask you a little bit of a strange question. Just because time moves forward, does that mean that today is always superior to yesterday? Because what I always see on the internet is that today's wrestlers are so superior to the wrestlers of yesteryear. It's the same thing with all major sports. People insult Babe Ruth. He was, guys didn't throw that hard back then. Look, we haven't evolved in the last 100 years where the average man is 7 feet tall and 300 pounds. So I ask you, is today necessarily automatically just superior to yesteryear's athletes? We all know that they had it harder with traveling, etc. Is there anything to this nonsense that I read on the internet that today's athlete is so superior? But wait, I'm about to go on the disabled list because I sneezed too hard?
Well, I don't think today's athletes are far superior. I mean, they're. Let me take that back. They're better athletes. I don't know if they're better storytellers or not, but for this day and age, again, you gotta look at the era you're talking about too, because uh, times do change and things do change. So, but I don't think that today's athletes are better storytellers than years before.
Tom, when you come home from the office, like I do from the office, and I start talking about work, does your wife yell at you like my wife and say she doesn't want to hear about your wrestling shit?
No, you know what I do? I don't say a thing. That's how I get around that. Yeah,
Wow. So
yeah.
all I got to do all these
Well,
years
I
is
think
just.
I got to do that, Jimmy. I got to not say anything, Jimmy.
I
That's
don't
what I
think
got
I
to do.
can do that. Ay, oh boy,
Yeah. She doesn't want to know, man.
that's a mess. Quickly, like if I can, Mike, if I can, I shift gears just a little bit. With your shoot interviews in the past and stuff, do you ever regret, like, saying too much?
Well, no, not really. Um, if I said too much, then I said too much. But at this point in my life, I really don't care.
Well, Tom, can you at least? I'm sure it had to happen. Is there a story out there when you've been on a shoot interview and you said something, and that one of those guys would call you and say, "Tom, what are you doing? You killed me out there."
No, I can't remember anybody doing that.
Oh,
Really? Damn,
Yeah.
lucky
it's not
him.
bad.
Ah.
After all those hours on podcast, dude, I don't know, man. I don't know how you got away with that. Jesus Christ.
Well, yeah. On the podcast, yeah, I have a habit of sometimes saying, "Look, dude, been one of those nights." Yeah,
That's it. You get away with
yeah.
that. It's just one of those nights.
I
Okay,
get away
not
with it.
bad.
Yeah,
He's Dr. Tom. He could get away with that, Mike. Not two schleps from
yeah.
New York, in case you're confused. You know what I'm saying?
Tom, would you ever think that Jim Cornette would be as popular as he is with this podcasting deal?
That is amazing because Jimmy's talented, but when the podcast thing first came out, I think it was Bruce, you guys, whoever else has podcasts. Uh, but Jimmy, if he told stories like he does, then I knew he'd be popular. But then I had no idea how good he's been doing.
What's your take when Jim? What is your take when Jim Cornette goes into the other things outside of the wrestling world, like politics, etc.? You know how passionate he is about that.
Yes, I do. But I think Jimmy has every right to say whatever he wants to say, and I know he knows he gets a reaction too. But that's Jim. That really is Jim. So yeah, I think it's kind of cool.
There it is. I think Mike is frozen. So we're gonna
Uh
we're gonna
oh.
con- no, that's okay. We're gonna continue. Let's do something called rapid fire. No explanations, just fire off names if you can for me. Biggest ego.
Flair.
Worst locker room fight.
Worst locker room fight. Oh, Goldberg and Jericho.
Did you witness that? Were you there for that?
No, but I heard about it.
So
No, I
is
mean I
it
was
is
there, but I wasn't in the room.
is it true that Jericho won that fight?
From what I heard, yeah, yeah,
That's why you don't mess with the son of a hockey player, I guess. I guess you don't mess with the son of a hockey player.
that's true.
Not a
Very
good
true.
idea. Why would you say Ric Flair is the biggest ego by far in this business?
Well, I think he does. I think he has the biggest ego so far. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm just saying that's Flair has the biggest ego. I think Rick is going to be Rick till the day he dies.
Do you see him possibly? He has said that he wants to die in the ring. Can you see him actually doing something like that? Because he still seems to want to get back in the ring.
Yeah, but I don't know who's going to promote that because
Right.
they promoted the last match, and then I don't know if he can get in trouble for that or not. But
Right.
yeah,
Right.
I don't know who'd do that.
Okay. Most dangerous wrestler to work with.
Ooh, most dangerous. Brockus.
You want to tell me about that?
Well, he gave me a concussion the first night I worked with him. I had to work with him 3 more days that week, man. So he was a nice guy, great guy. I enjoyed being around him. We had a lot of fun. But in the ring, he just never quite caught on. And he was pretty strong, could manhandle you. And he didn't mean to, he just didn't know. And even if you tried to show him, I don't think he ever got it.
How much do concussions? How much do concussions play into the overall health of a wrestler at the end of the day? Because Chris Benoit's unfortunate situation, concussions are always mentioned. How much that you just said yourself, you got concussed and had to work 3 more times with this guy the same week. So
Yeah.
how much does that come into the overall physical health of a wrestler at the end of the day?
Well, I think it has everything to do with the overall individual and health. Um, I think if anybody who gets concussed needs to lay out and take it easy. But the only way I'm just nobody actually told me I had a concussion. I'm just saying I had a concussion because I had a headache and the effects, but I never went to the doctor for it.
Were
So
those the days where you didn't go to the doctor? You want to protect your spot? I mean,
yeah, pretty much. That again, that was a time and place.
it was. It definitely was. All right. One word answers. One word answers for the following subjects. ECW.
Uh, Paul Heyman. Oh, or Heyman.
Advocate. There's one word. He's just an
Advocate.
advocate.
Thank you.
There you go. All right.
Yeah.
We already touched on him, but one word for Jim Cornette.
Intense.
All right. And here's the grandest of them all, I guess, especially nowadays, Triple H.
The game.
That's 2 words, Doc.
Oh, wait a minute. Boss. There you go. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, that's two
Yeah.
words too.
Yeah, no kidding.
What do you think? What do you think of Triple H as as being in charge of the WWE? Do you think he equals Vince McMahon?
Well, I think he's pretty empathetic. That sound. He does want to put out the best product possible. I believe that, and I believe he loves the business. Um, yeah, I really do think he wants the best for the company.
Where do you see the company going in the next 5 years? Where do you see the company going?
Wow. I think they're going to expand. They'll expand even more, and they'll be everywhere. I mean, it's they they already have the mats are covered with sponsorships. They're going to Abu Dhabi or wherever, Saudi Arabia. They're going all over, man. I think they're going to be bigger than ever.
All right, toughest question of the night, Tom. We're going to let you go because we know you have had a long night, and we really thank and what an honor it is to have you on the show. If you had to tell the fans out there what Dr. Tom Prichard has meant to the wrestling industry, what would you say?
I would just hope that I've done something to help people get in the business and do good while they got in, while they were in there. I just hope that I added something to the business. That's really all I can tell you.
Well, I would say on my end, between you and your brother, even though it's a smaller family, your family has had a major influence on this business. And you both should be very proud of what you've done. And for fans like us, we just want to thank you for what you've done for this industry.
Well, thank you guys, and thanks for having me on. I'm waiting for the invite, so I appreciate it. We finally got it done.
Yeah, we did. Thank you so much, my friend. Jimmy, you want to send us out?
You've been watching Monte the Pharaoh. And until next week, later.
You know what I wanted to talk to you about. I want to welcome our new sponsor, 500 Level. www, shouldn't be using that, 500level.com, where they sell all sports clothing and all this wonderful stuff. And support the Monte and the Pharaoh Show. Please use the code MP20, that's MP20, and get a luxurious 20% discount with 500 Level sports gear. And right now they're offering a holiday special with 10%. So that's a whole 30% off the garments. Jimmy, you just being part of their sponsorship, ordered yourself a nice little T-shirt.
Yeah, I'm acknowledging the great tribal chief. Yo, by the way,
I'm really surprised you went that route, dude. I got to be honest with you.
Oh, you know what's funny? As I was looking through, and by the way, they have a lot of great stuff for you folks out there. When you get to that site, there's a lot of good. Dude, I was tortured. You said to me, pick a shirt, and I'm like.
And by the way, it's just not wrestling, dude. It's all sports.
Know.
Like, I was surprised you went wrestling. I was like, really, dude?
Well, you know, I mean, after all, they've been kind enough to be our sponsor, and we're going to have a partnership with them. Of course, I'm going to do wrestling. It's a wrestling show. Sometimes it's a wrestling show, right, Mike?
Sometimes. And let's not reminder, MP20 for a luxurious 20% off of 500 Level. And like I said, for the holiday, they're offering another 10%.
What do you think I was going to pick? Like Aaron Judge or something? I don't really.
Dude, I know. I was thinking to myself, is he going to go Yankees or Jets? And if he goes wrestling, he's not going Rome. Like, I was shocked. I thought you would go Hulk Hogan, Savage, Ultimate Warrior, even.
No, because right now, the very thing that you and I talk about from week to week and we pine for is the return of the great tribal chief. Look, we really did enjoy that. Yeah, we really did love that reign.
By the way, I got to show you something here. Do you see this? I got this T-shirt.
Look at that. There you go.
It's really cheesily made, but I fucking
love
it.
It's the message that counts.
By the way,